Vishnupad Paramamsa Pariyojaka Acharya Ashtottara Sarasri Śrimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramamsa Pariyojaka Acharya Ashtottara Sarasri Śrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Samaveda Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sago Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Ashtaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtikir Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bhangolanga Yatekirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Ninatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Reading from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, Text 27. Vaikārikād vikurvānan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhava Vaikārikād vikurvānyan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhava Vaikārikād vikurvānan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhava. Devotees.
Karikat vikurvana manastatvam jayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhava. Vaikārikād vikurvānan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhavaha. Vaikārikād vikurvānan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhavaha. Vaikārikād vikurvānan Manastatvam ajayata Yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam Vartate kama sambhavaha.
Okay, translation. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Do we repeat? Okay, please repeat. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection, which are due to different kinds of desires. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification, and we reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. The material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, as long as the mind is on the material platform, it is hovering, and all this rejection and acceptance is asat, temporary. It is stated that he whose mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness must hover between acceptance and rejection. However advanced a man is in academic qualifications, as long as he is not fixed in Krishna consciousness, he will simply accept and reject and will never be able to fix his mind on a particular subject matter. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahugana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakanitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I haven't given class in a very long time, more than 2 years, so I might be a bit rough around the edges. Please forgive me. I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, so I may be able to say something which will make Krishna's senses happy. This is a nice purport. Prabhupada starts by saying, the symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection. It's very interesting, he uses the word determination. Generally you find everywhere it says the mind's business is to accept and reject. But here Prabhupada uses the word determination and rejection. And throughout the whole purport he mentions fixed quite a few times. I didn't really count, but at least I read it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Oh, 5 times. Wow. Mind is not fixed. Mind can be fixed. It's not fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as he's not fixed in Krishna consciousness, never be able to fix his mind. Yeah. Quite a few fixes in this purport. And determination, you can say, is a synonym of the word fixed. You'll find in the Bhagavad Gita, many times Krishna uses the word ananya bhak, ananya manaso, one-pointed, concentrated devotional service. This seems to be the secret to success. And, Arjuna even asks Krishna, or Krishna says to Arjuna, that if you overcome the mind, then you've reached me. Krishna consciousness is basically coming to the platform of overcoming the mind. Prabhupada says that yoga means to control the mind. That is the purpose of yoga. And to control the mind means to make it fixed on Krishna. So the mind's business is to accept things and reject things, or as Prabhupada says here, to be determined about things and to reject things. But in our current state of consciousness, it's accepting things that are favorable for our sense gratification, and it's rejecting things that are unfavorable for our sense gratification. And therefore the mind is hovering based on our sense gratification. But you see, there is an instance in Śrimad Bhāgavatam where Gopakumar, he goes back to Vrindavan, and when he goes to Vrindavan, he sees something very interesting. He sees that the bodily hues, the color of the residents of Vrindavan is constantly changing. And not just that, he also sees that the trees, the creepers, and everything in Vrindavan is constantly changing. And it bewilders him a little bit, like, what's going on here? And Narad Muni explains to him that actually this is our eternal nature, to be constantly changing, chanchal. Vrindavan is a place for constant change. Prabhupada has said many, many times, variety is the mother of all enjoyment. If you have khichdi every day, that's not very enjoyable. That's one of the vratas that you can do for Kartik Mas, right? Just eat unspiced, unsalted khichdi. Or maybe that's the next month actually, the Katyayani vrata that the gopis perform in Vrindavan. So for that, it's described in the Bhagavatam that they would eat unspiced khichdi every day. And Prabhupada says that this food is very suitable to purify the body. But it's not very enjoyable. Purification is not very enjoyable. It's, cleaning. Cleaning is not very enjoyable. But the end result is everything becomes clear. So, enjoyment comes from variety. And the mind is something that likes to jump from one thing to another, quite rapidly, quite intensely. And here Prabhupada says that if the same mind, the very same mind, can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness, but the mind's nature in itself is to be chanchal. It likes variety. The mind wants to enjoy, actually. So, within the boundaries of Krishna consciousness, we find a lot of variety. The temple itself, you see the temple residents, you see how everyone is so different. Everyone is so unique in their nature. Everyone is attracted to different things. The other day we went out on Harinam in Washington Square Park, and so many people came. I think maybe last week. So many people came. And you look at each person, they were so different. It was so wild, actually. You know, you have like a brahmachari from Europe, a brahmachari from India, a brahmachari from local America, and then you have like people that are not brahmacharis, people in black bodies, people in white bodies, just all kinds of people. You know, you see different cliques, you see different groups, and you can kind of categorize them quite clearly. That okay, this is this group, and this is that group. But you see the Harinam, and it's like, what the hell is going on here? You know, what are they? Who are they? But Krishna likes to enjoy variety, and Nam Sankirtan is the best means to attract all kinds of varieties, ultimately for Krishna to enjoy. So the mind, although it likes jumping to so many different things, actually this can be very favorable, because Krishna has Namo Nanta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam, right? He has unlimited pastimes. And each pastime is filled with unlimited variety. So this is a very nice food for the mind. It's very favorable because we like to jump from so many things, for our sense gratification. There's a lecture where Prabhupada is saying, you want sense gratification, so you come to us. He's saying, we will give you the best kind of sense gratification. We will give you the most pleasurable kind of sense gratification. Because, you look at the people out there that are just living their lives, trying to gratify their senses in so many varieties of ways. But what external sense gratification does to you, it just makes you really dull. It makes you very dull-headed. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya. And in that dull-headed consciousness, you know nothing more than sense gratification. So you keep digging a hole further and further into gratifying your senses, subtle and gross. But you see, the result of that is people just become really, really dull. But on the other hand, Prabhupada mentions here very nicely that if our senses, if our mind is fixed on sense gratification, then it becomes like a hovering mind. But if it is fixed in the activities of Krishna, if you read the pastimes of Krishna book, if you read the pastimes that all of our acharyas have left behind for us, you will find that Krishna is the supreme sense gratifier. The aim of life is sense gratification. That is what everyone is after. Because in our eternal nature, the aim of life is to give Krishna sense gratification. Whatever we're doing, it just comes natural for us. Gratifying senses comes natural to the jiva. Because in his nature, he's supposed to rishikena rishikesham sevanam bhaktir uchate. He's supposed to give sense gratification to the Lord of all senses. And by doing that, by watering the roots, so to speak, you get nourished, being a little leaf. And you get more sense gratification than spraying the leaf directly. And not just that, but all the leaves get satisfied by giving Krishna his sense gratification. It is stated that he whose mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness must hover between acceptance and rejection. The beginning of bhakti comes from Sharanagati. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that Sharanagati and Shraddha, they are interchangeable. You know what Sharanagati means? It means surrender. And Shraddha means faith. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that these two are interchangeable. And what is Sharanagati? Actually, it's in this verse, these two words. Yat sankalpa vikalpa bhyam. Sharanagati is anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshashyati vishvaso goptritre varanam tatha atma nikshepa karpanye shad vidha sharanagati. These are the 6 symptoms of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa. You accept things that are favorable. Pratikulyasya varjanam. You reject things that are unfavorable. Favorable for what? Unfavorable for what? Favorable for Krishna's sense gratification. Unfavorable for Krishna's sense gratification. Rakshashyati vishvaso. And you have complete vishvas, you have complete trust that he is going to protect you no matter what happens. Goptritre varanam. When you trust someone, then especially like a husband, Krishna is the supreme husband. And the husband's job is to give protection and to provide. Goptritre varanam means he will provide whatever you need. We have deities in our 24-hour kirtan mandali. Nitai Sachisuta, when they have one arm up in the air and they have another arm down. And so Indra Prabhu has said that this arm that's up in the air, if you read in the Krishna book, I forget which chapter, it says that the gopis look at Krishna's arm, or his hands, and they feel fearlessness by seeing that arm. So his hand that's up in the air is Rakshishati Vishvaso. You can trust, and you can Masuchaha, do not fear. His hand will protect you. And the other hand is providing, Goptate Varanam, giving you whatever you need. And if someone is giving you all protection, and if someone is providing whatever you need, then Atma Nikshepa, you should surrender your whole soul whole, entirely. But not with pride, with karpanya. Karpanya means with humility. And that is Sharanagati. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of bhakti. Then comes sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya and anartha nivriti and so on and so forth. So it's very much actually an activity of the mind, because the mind's job is to accept things and reject things. And the best way to dovetail the mind, man, is with the Mahamantra, because mantra means that which delivers the mind. And Mahamantra means the greatest method of delivering the mind. It's interesting, if you think about it, the mind actually enjoys to be agitated. It likes to be in an agitated state. That's its natural position. So we feed it that actually, by engagement in Krishna consciousness. Mahamantra is like the greatest agitation to the mind. By chanting the Mahamantra and by meditating on Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, Nam, Guna, Rupa, Leela. Kirtan is the prime dharma of all living entities. But our acharyas have said that Kirtan is of many types. There is Nam Kirtan, there is Rupa Kirtan, there is Leela Kirtan, there is Guna Kirtan. Speaking about Krishna's qualities, Krishna has 64 of them. So much variety. So much food for the mind to be agitated by. You can think about one quality and chant around. And think about the second quality and chant around. There's unlimited qualities actually. Radharani has 25 qualities. A devotee has 26 qualities. There's a purport in the third canto. I forget which chapter, which verse. But if you want to know, you can ask me later. But in that, Prabhupada says that by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one makes spiritual advancement. And then Prabhupada says, similarly, by chanting the holy name of a devotee, one also makes equal spiritual advancement. And the example he gives is Lord Chaitanya chanting the names of the gopis as before he was a renunciate, and persons criticized him. And when they criticized him, he became very upset, and he took sannyas, and he left Mayapur because of those persons. Actually, it's pretty wild if you think about it. What was I saying before this? I lost track. Yeah, after that I said something. Third canto, yeah, different kinds of kirtans. So guna kirtan, even if just by thinking of the qualities of the 26 qualities of a devotee, that is also considered guna kirtan. Then there is rupa kirtan, meditating on the form of the Lord, meditating on the deities. Waking up every morning, coming down to see them, bathing them, addressing them, putting nice garlands on them. This is also kirtan. Then there is Leela Kirtan, which is ultimately the pastimes of the Lord, which is the sole purpose of anything and everything. Krishna engages in pastimes for the sake of enjoyment, and that's his supreme prerogative, enjoyment. That is why here in the material world, us reflected, imitative beings are after the same thing. But Leela Kirtan, as you meditate on the pastimes of the Lord, by reading such a wonderful book like Krishna book, it's funny, Prabhupada says you shouldn't read the 10th canto immediately. You should go progressively through the first canto and the second canto and the third canto and so on and so forth. Properly taking darshan, like you look at the feet and you go up and see his smiling face. But then he writes the Krishna book and he tells everyone to read this before you go to sleep. Which is basically just the 10th canto with a few little added extra commentaries. So one time Prabhupada was asked that should we see Krishna's face, because I'm not qualified to read the 10th canto, so just like that, maybe I'm not qualified to see Krishna's face, and I should maybe just look at his feet until I'm qualified to look at his shins, and then I'll be qualified to look at his knees, and then his hips and chest, and so on and so forth. But right now I'm not qualified for the face. Or I've only reached the 3rd canto, so now we should only look up to his knees and not further than that. And you know what Prabhupada's, he didn't say all this, I kind of added that. But you know what Prabhupada's reply was? Prabhupada's reply was, how can you live without seeing Krishna's face? How can we live without seeing Krishna in Vrindavan? By hearing about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Yes, the whole Śrimad Bhāgavatam is important. All of it actually is Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Radharani and Krishna are sitting in Tota Gopinath speaking about Prahlad Maharaj, speaking about Dhruva Maharaj. This is far out. They're not reading the 10th canto. They were reading Prahlad Charitra, Dhruva Charitra. But what do they remember? They only remember Vrindavan. This is literally Radharani and Krishna. Radharani giving a Bhagavatam class to Krishna. Gadadhar Pandit giving a class to Mahaprabhu. So there's so much for the mind to be agitated by. And it's so satisfying to the heart. But ultimately, of all types of kirtan, Nam Kirtan reigns supreme. Nam Sankirtan. And all of these other kirtans, they give our Nam Sankirtan substance. By worshipping the deities, by hearing Bhagavatam, by doing all of these varieties of agitations to the mind, when we sit down and chant, then it will have potency. Sometimes some may consider sitting down and chanting to not be so practical. Envious persons and people out on the street, for example, they see us and they might think, what are you doing? Like, get a job, what are you just doing? Sitting down, chanting, you're so lazy. Go and do something practical. But you know how hard it is to just sit down and chant? Try and do it for a day. Take a whole day off, don't eat, don't sleep, just sit and chant. It's really hard. You have to battle your mind. It is really, really hard to sit down and chant. And the real truth is that we're not up to it. And therefore we need to be engaged in so many varieties of other engagements. The only dharma of this age is to call out Krishna's name fervently, with a great, intense desire to be with him. How many of us are doing that? And if we're not doing that, then we need help. We need help from Śrimad Bhāgavatam. We need help from the deities. We need help by thinking about Krishna's qualities. Krishna is all attractive, but you're only going to get attracted to him if you actually spend time with him. It's just like any relationship. Any relationship needs time. And that's the whole point of this purport, that Prabhupada is saying, fix, 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 fixed, fix. 5 times. 5 times he uses that word. And in the beginning he says determination. That's all we have to do. We have to fix our minds in Krishna's pastimes, in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. The other day was Narottam Das Thakur's disappearance day, and his first song that he wrote for Prarthana is Gauranga Bolite Habe, Pulaka Sharira. Hari Hari bolite nayane babe nira. Right? As I chant Gauranga, my body should shiver. As I chant Hari Hari or Hare Hare, tears should flow, glide down my cheeks incessantly with no stoppage. And then he says, Aro kabe nitai chan karuna hoibe. When will Nitai be merciful to me? That my samsara vasana mora kabe tuche habe. That my desire, Prabhupada speaks about desire in this purport. Due to different kinds of desires, the mind is accepting and rejecting things. When will my desire for samsara vasan, kam vasan, lustful, desire to enjoy, when will that become insignificant? When will it turn into prem vasan? When will that happen? When Nitai is merciful to me. What's the next one? Yeah. Shuddha habe man. Vishaya Chariya. When will I give up poison? When will I give up taking poison? And when will my mind actually become pure? And then what happens? That's how you can see Vrindavan Dham. Prabhupada, in the purport to this song, he says that Narottama Das Thakur has clearly mentioned here how to see Vrindavan Dham. You have to be cleared from all material contaminations to see Vrindavan Dham. So you can catch a plane and go to Vrindavan. You can live there for years and years and years, but if you're materially contaminated to the degree that you're materially contaminated, to that degree you can't see Vrindavan. And then he starts to chant the names of devotees. Rupa Raghunath. Prabhupada says in the purport to that, he says Rupa Raghunath, and generally you'll find the previous acharyas, they hold Rupa and Raghunath on an elevated platform because Rupa Goswami we're Rupa Nugas, we're followers of Rupa Goswami, but Raghunath, because Raghunath Das is the perfect example of how to follow Rupa Goswami. In their eternal transcendental forms, it is described that Rati Manjari, who is Raghunath Das Goswami, is not even picking up the chamar whisk to fan Krishna, to fan Radharani, unless Rupa Manjari, who is Rupa Goswami, gives her an indication to do so. Complete surrender. Which means she has to flick her eyebrow in a certain way, and then she'll be like, okay, all right, now I can pick up the... but without that, she won't even pick up the chamar, So he is the perfect follower of Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Raghunath. But our Prabhupada, he's so amazing. He says that Narottama Das Thakur has said Rupa and Raghunath because what that means is Rupa, Sanatan, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, and Jiva Goswami. And it means all of them, from Rupa to Raghunath. So, and then he says that without the mercy of the 6 Goswamis, this book is the mercy of the 6 Goswamis. Whatever Prabhupada is writing here, he's taken from the 6 Goswamis. He's taken from our acharyas. It's very clear. It's kind of hidden sometimes. Because Prabhupada wrote for such a broad audience, literally everyone, that everything is here for everyone. Whatever you're attracted to, you can find. You'll find pragmatic leaders who like to organize things and who like to manage things perfectly. They'll find that within Prabhupada's purports. And you'll find super Bhajananandis who just like to sit down and chant Hare Krishna. They'll find that in Prabhupada's purports. And anyone in between, from the gamut, they find what they want. It's amazing. This really is a wish-fulfilling desire tree. You get what you want. Those who are making farms and taking care of cows, they'll find all of these far-out purports where Prabhupada is saying, yes, cow protection is going to save the universe. So Prabhupada had to write for this broad audience. But, he has said things in Chaitanya Charitamrita. For example, he has said one must read books like Ujjvala Nilamani. Obviously, after reading Bhagavatam, after reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, after going through all of the books, but one must, he uses the word must. Must is a significant word. It's not one may, one might, one can if he wants to. One must read the books of the previous acharyas. You know what happens when you read them? When you read them, you realize, wow, Prabhupada said this. Prabhupada said this. Oh, this is where Prabhupada got it from. And it increases Prabhupada's glory. It's like the acharyas kind of help you to see that, hey, your acharya has already said it all. So we read these books, we agitate our mind in so many wonderful ways. We perform Sankirtan together. And, we share Krishna consciousness. It's 8:40. I would like to open the floor up if there's any questions. Otherwise I can think of something else to say. If there are any questions or comments or corrections. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned about different types of kirtan, and I was reminded of this quotation someone was sending me from Bhakti Sandarbha. Nam, Lila, Guna, and then it must be done, if it counts as Sankirtan, it must be done with 3 or more people.
3? I thought 2. It says 2 or more, yeah. 2 or more constitute Sankirtan, yeah.
So you're saying that these other processes help with the Nam. So I think there's a quote by Śrimad Bhāgavatam that says that Bhagavatam is the Swarup Lakshana.
Bhagavat Shravan is the Swarup
Krishna Katha. Should I say it again? Yeah, and?
And I was just wondering if you could explain that how...
Yeah, and Hari Kirtan is Krishna. Krishna's name is Krishna, but Hari Katha is Swarup Shakti. So, speaking about Krishna is Swarup Shakti, and chanting his names is Krishna. It basically means that, what is Swarup Shakti? Swarup Shakti is Radharani. By the help of Radharani, we can serve Krishna. Alone we cannot serve Krishna. Sankirtan is a call for help. Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, in one sense, can be called a tragedy, if you really observe it. And when there is a tragedy, there's a lot of pain. Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, they're very pain-inducing. If you read those chapters of Antya Lila, it's also briefly mentioned in Madhya Lila, chapter 4, I think, of Madhya Lila. When you're in pain, what do? You look for people that you can share it with. You look for people that have maybe been through the same thing so that they can understand you. Right? That is basically Sankirtan on the highest platform. Lord Chaitanya is feeling separation from Krishna, and in his pain, he wants help externally to pacify his separation from Krishna. That gives us an opportunity. We don't even really appreciate what Mahaprabhu has come to give us. It's something very profound. He's come to give us an opportunity to remind him of Krishna. It's really wild, if you think about it. And as a result of that, we become Krishna conscious. There was a devotee who was sent to London before Srila Prabhupada by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And this devotee, he went to London and he started preaching, and he found it very difficult. Actually, not much happened. Not much. Wasn't like when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada was empowered on another level, in 12 years what he did. But this devotee went to London and not much manifested. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote a letter to him. And that letter is amazing. He says that meat eaters, drunkards, womenizers, and gamblers, and all kinds of miscreants will come to you. And he says, you should accept them as particles of dust from the lotus feet of Nitai, who have come to you to give you an opportunity to speak about Krishna. And he says they are going to save your Krishna consciousness. It's not that we're out there to save the fallen conditioned souls and to remind them all of Krishna. Really what we're doing is we're trying to remember Krishna. If you're a teacher, you better know your stuff. You can't teach something without knowing it thoroughly. Right? So being a teacher is the best way to be fully understanding the subject matter of whatever it is that you're teaching. The idea of Sankirtan is that we're actually helping Radharani. She doesn't need help. She's completely full in herself. Mahaprabhu doesn't need help. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the compassionate nature is calling for help. And similarly, that is what the Sampradaya is doing. So Rup Damodar is also calling for help. Rupa Goswami is also calling for help. Our Srila Prabhupada is also calling for help. And from their perspective, they really see it like that. Humility comes with devotional service. There is a verse in Ujjvala Nilamani which says, Radharani is Vinita. Vinita means humble. And you know what it says? The example that Rupa Goswami gives? You know what he says? He says that Radharani is speaking to her friends. And she is saying that Krishna has every reason to leave me because I have so many faults. But because all of you favor me, all of you place your favorable glances onto me, therefore Krishna cannot reject me because he likes all of you. That is the mood of Sankirtan. That is how we lead Sankirtan. It is not the call that's so important. It's the response. Try it out. When you're leading Kirtan, focus on the response more than your call. Your call is just the leader of the Kirtan is just the conductor waving his stick around. But the real Kirtan happens by the orchestra itself. If there is no orchestra, imagine a guy just moving his stick around. It's not very useful. 2 or more. More is better. More is better. Listen to the response. We need help. Ayana Prabhu understood this very clearly also. He even said it, that Krishna has broken down my voice. You know why Krishna broke down his voice? Krishna broke down his voice because Krishna was feeling compassionate on us. So that we have an opportunity to help such a great personality. And it's still the same. Krishna took away his whole body. Now we have an opportunity to help. Krishna took away Prabhupada externally. But the institution is still here. An opportunity for us to help. It is all Sankirtan, if it is seen with the right mindset. Yeah. Share your pain, Prabhu. Share it with the world. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. Really, really beautiful. It's inspiring to do more kirtan. So I'm just curious on this topic of Sankirtan. Where does japa fall into place here? Because you said that Nama Kirtan is the main, the Yuga Dharma, right? So what about japa?
Well,
It's more personal. It's one.
yeah. Yeah, japa is our personal relationship with Krishna. It's our fuel. My Guru Maharaj says that if you fill fuel in the car and if you drive the car, then filling the fuel is like chanting japa and driving the car is like doing Sankirtan. We need to have substance. ultimately, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we should come to the point of Niyantran Nam Jap, which means constantly chanting Hare Krishna. Actually, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Jaiva Dharma is he says that we have surely committed Nama Aparad somewhere along our lives, for sure. And then he says the only way to counteract Nama Aparad, offenses to the name, is by constantly chanting Hare Krishna. So we have material bodies, and unfortunately they get tired and they cannot bang on the drum 24 hours a day, and they can't sing loudly with a loud voice 24 hours a day. So we have Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, his standard was to chant 64 rounds, right? And there was one brahmachari, his name was Hayagriva Brahmachari. He was like a favorite of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He just really liked him. He never got angry with him. He never chastised him. He always just smiled at him and praised him always. So all the devotees got together and told Hayagriva Brahmachari that you go and tell Guru Maharaj that we cannot chant 64 rounds. This is way too much. You go and you tell him. And so he did it. He went and he told that Guru Maharaj, we are not able to chant. We have so many services in the mutt. We have to wake up, we have to go out, we have to collect, we have to cook, we have to worship the deities, we have to do all these things. There's no way we can chant 64 rounds every day. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, what are you doing at night? And he says, we're taking rest. And then he said, our only rest is chanting japa. So really what Nam Japa is when you're tired, you chant.
Thank you. Actually, this makes me think about, I believe it was Chandrasekhar Prabhu who mentioned that one of the reasons also that we fell from material sky or world is that it's like the refusal to engage in devotional service. So when we don't want to chant, it's kind of like stepping
It's
down.
true, yeah.
Like when we're doing something, and like you also made this point that I really like is that we cannot just chant, so we have to do all these other kind of services to kind of purify ourselves to be able to just chant.
Exactly.
So that's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Samadhi means to sit down in the dham and just chant Hare Krishna. But not artificially. We have to really do it. So therefore we purify ourselves by engaging all of our senses, engaging our body as much as possible. Okay. If there are no more questions and comments, then we can... You have a question? No? All right. Jai. Grantaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki.